Brian Grimes, your real estate mentor, back with another action-packed session. Today, we're going to be talking about more free money to invest in real estate, to buy houses, especially if you haven't gotten your first deal yet. So many of us are struggling because we don't have the money to invest. That's like the number one thing I hear. Brian, I want to invest. I've been studying about this. It's either like cash or credit, but mostly cash because you guys are getting smarter with credit and how to leverage business credit and all those things. But getting the cash, I want you to know it's available. It's out there. We're going to talk about a $100,000 forgivable loan if you're in New York City, and you can use this on up to a 4-unit building. So you can get multifamily buildings with free money up to 100K fully forgivable. We're going to talk about how that works and break those numbers down for you. And if we break it down for you in one city, know that it can apply to you in another. These programs are government funded, so they tend to work similarly. This is the Housing Preservation and Development Department for the New York City Department of Housing. They have this Home First Down Payments Assistance Program. This promotes the acquisition of privately owned 1 to 4 family homes, co-ops, and condominiums for owner occupancy within the 5 boroughs of New York City by providing a forgivable loan of up to $100,000 for down payment or closing costs to qualified home buyers earning up to 80% of the area median income. Let's talk about the eligibility. To be a first-time home buyer is a requirement. This is defined as a household that has not owned a home during the 3-year period immediately prior to the purchase of a primary residence with home funding. So this will trip people up a lot. I'll get this question like, well, Brian, if I buy a property through with the Boots on the Ground program, if I go out and get a rental property, will that stop me from being able to use my FHA? Because that's for like first home buyers, right? So now I can't put down 3.5% on something that I want to live in, or maybe a duplex or triplex. No. If you could buy 100 investment properties through LLCs, so these are commercial business loans. You might be guaranteeing those loans, but they're not going on your credit report. They're not really going in your name. You could do 100 deals and still qualify for a FHA loan, which would go in your personal name and allow you to buy a personal residence or primary residence where you're only putting down 3.5%. You can still do that. So being an investor doesn't stop you. These are they're kind of like technicalities. So even with this forgivable loan, you could have bought a property 5 years ago and sold it. But because you haven't purchased a primary residence or lived in a primary residence within the last 3 years, you're qualified. So you could still get this money. All applicant households must have a gross annual income not exceeding 80% of the area median income as determined by HUD. And there's a chart here. So a 4-person household, 125,000. A 3-person household, 111,000. There are a lot of people that are going to be qualified for this. I would say the overwhelming majority of people would qualify for this. The loan term is a fixed 15 to 40-year term. So this is not a 40-year mortgage session. I've talked about 40-year mortgages and how we'll see more of those. This is actually interesting because they will go to a 40-year term. So this may even open up opportunities for specialty products. If you can get a quadplex for even $1 million and put it on a 40 and then get 100K for it forgivable and use other kind of first-time home buyer requirements or owner occupied requirements of like 10% down, you may be able to acquire a building like this for like 10, maybe like 10K to get a, quadplex in one of the 5 boroughs. This one was interesting to me. Maximum qualifying underwriting ratios. The maximum loan to value, 97%. Maximum, and this is on your initial mortgage. They'll do a secondary mortgage on top of it. Maximum combined loan to value, 115%. That's remarkable. That means they'll lend you up to more than even the value of the property. 115%. So they'll cover everything and some. They're willing to cover more than 100% of the purchase price of the house. And your closing costs, while they can add up on you, they're not that much. So this will cover pretty much all of it. Credit score requirements, minimum of 620 FICO. A 580 may be permitted for FHA mortgages based on the lender overlays and approval. And there are lenders out there, some of the no doc lenders, which we just did a session on maybe maybe it was 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. The no doc lenders out there, some of them will have like those 580 kind of groups where it's not no doc, they're going to check everything, but they'll take you down to a 580. If you're below a 580, there are some credit hacks that you can do to try to get up to a 620 pretty quickly. So those are most of the restrictions and the application process. So how do you make this forgivable? Well, the loan term is 10 years for loans less than or equal to 40,000, 15 years or greater for those that are larger than 40,000. It's a zero interest loan. So you have to use this as your primary residence for a period of 10 consecutive years following the receipt of the down payment assistance loan if the loan is less than or equal to 40,000 or 15 consecutive years. So if you do that, if you got 100K, you have to own or occupy or keep this property in your name for 15 years. It's 100% forgivable at that point, 100,000. And it'll start to stare itself down after year 10. After year 10, then they're going to start forgiving 20% of the loan every year. It's pretty interesting. 100% of the 100,000 forgiven, just keep it. Just keep renting the thing. Keep cash flowing. If you got a quadplex and you rent it out to other units, you would live for free. You wouldn't even pay to live. So camp out, stack up your money, take one of the nicer units, and you're going to get a guaranteed 100K forgiven. And your property is going to appreciate over the course of 10, 15 years. You're probably going to make, in a place like New York, from an appreciation standpoint, I mean, you might make $500,000 in appreciation. So this is one thing. There are lots of grants out there I'm seeing as well, $5,000, $10,000 grants. There are ways to invest in real estate without needing cash or credit. Just going the creative financing route and getting directly in front of motivated sellers. I mean, it's really not that difficult. I think people put a lot of barriers in front of themselves to prevent themselves from getting the motivated sellers, but it's not that hard. You pick up the phone, you call people, you can list build, you can put up bandit signs and do different things, and you'll get yourself in front of people who are looking to sell their properties, and you can get in that business with very little capital. So wherever you're at, I mean, you just want to get started, but do understand, there are hundreds of thousands of dollars kind of flowing around for your first time home purchase. And then when you get into the rental property game, especially if you're creating affordable housing, is what I've been talking about a lot, they're giving you money to build affordable housing. We talked about that last week. And there are programs like that all across the country as well. So learn how to build houses, learn how to rebuild your communities and landlord a bit, even if you hand off that work to a property management company. It's not that you have to do this stuff yourself, but learn the business so that you can get your hands on the free money, because that is part of the affordable housing solution, is just getting money into the hands of developers in a very direct way. Because you're still taking on, even if they give you free money, you're still taking your time, energy. You're managing, maybe you're managing some contractors through a project. You're putting work in, and then you're managing, an affordable housing tenant. So you are providing value. So they're giving you some free money to do it, which is nice. They should, because you are helping the cities. But it's not like it's unearned in that sense. You are earning that money and you're making it happen. You're bringing value to the table.